Let's talk about calendars and why they're important. So, when you think about the term calendar, the term calendar comes from a Latin word, and this Latin word is calendarium. And the meaning of this word is, according to Britannica, it means interest register or account book. And these are the terms that I want you to really be keen on because they are the reason why calendars are important. However, we don't actually recognize how important calendars are until when you now think deeply about what calendars meant for the early civilizations. So now, this is what Britannica says, that the word is derived from the Latin word calendarium, meaning interest register or account book. The word itself is it's a derivation from calendae or calendai, the first day of the month in the Roman Republican calendar. Another important aspect that you should actually put in mind. And this is the day in which future market days, feasts, and other occasions were proclaimed. A calendar is convenient for regulating civil life and religious observances, and for historical and scientific purposes. But this is where the details are. Like, how did we get to the calendar that we have right now? It is essential tool for any civilization that needs to measure periods for agricultural, business, domestic, or other reasons. The first practical calendar to evolve from these requirements was the Egyptian calendar, and it was this that the Romans developed into the Julian calendar that served Western Europe for more than 1,500 years. The Gregorian calendar was a further improvement and has been almost universally adopted because it satisfactorily draws into one system the dating of religious festivals based on the phases of the moon and seasonal activities that are determined by the movement of the sun. This is where calendars are essential. And when you think about it, anytime civilization struggles with something, calendars are very essential in resolving some of these civil issues. And the current issue is that humanity is struggling with one thing, and that is cost of living, survival. But when you think about it, a calendar is actually important in sorting out some of these issues because the calendars that we have, the Gregorian calendar has its own limitations, and the limitations are the Gregorian calendar was meant like it was really capitalized on by the colonizers and the racist regimes that existed, which go against the African cycles of life, because in Africa we had calendars based on certain aspects, and that's why we used common terms like many moons ago. We didn't have dates. We were not saying, no, January of what. We would say many moons ago because our lives were revolving around the moon. And the moon is very important because it has played an important role in the cycles of life that we have on our planet. The moon affects our sea, the moon affects our land, the moon affects our cycles, our human cycles, psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally, and more importantly, hormonally. That's why we have, menstrual cycles for women. Men also, I hear science has proved that men have that day of the month. And the reason as to why that happens is because we we are in full sync with the moon and the way the moon moves around in orbit. However, our problems currently are because the Gregorian calendar requires you to work for 30 days. I want to propose a change, and probably maybe people can think about it. This is a philosophy that I believe could help, because when you're having problems, it's time to really re-examine the root cause of the problems. The root cause of the problem is that human civilization has not matured enough to understand that our problems are not just economic or political. They are a myriad of issues, a myriad of root causes, and one of them is spiritual. We have struggles that are resulting from the calendars that we have been using. And these issues are not going away, because when you think about cost of living, employers are not willing to increase people's salaries because you can never increase to infinite levels because it doesn't make economic sense. And two, it doesn't allow the employer to make the profits that they want, and it doesn't allow the employee to get money sufficient enough for them to survive on. Number two, we have less children now than we've ever had in the past. In the past, that's why, for example, when I think about my own mother, she had 4 kids, but somehow I could not believe how much my mother used to be paid. Until now, I couldn't believe, because we somehow all lived on this amount of money, a very small amount of money, but we survived and we were able to live on it. However, for me, these issues that we are facing are more spiritual than material, and our spiritual issues are revolving around how we use our calendar. Our calendar is deficient right now, and we need to rethink it. So since employers are not willing to pay up anymore, because research has been done and it shows that humanity right now, workers are paid more than in the history of the world. But also when you think about it, the rich are getting more money. Those, like the 1% in the top margin in the employment class, in the employment pyramid, are getting a lot more money than the people who actually do the actual work. So it's a moral issue, it's a spiritual issue, it's a social issue, but it also means, this is my personal view, it's that we have a calendar issue also, because the money that we're earning can't take us to the end of the month. The average person spends all the money that they earn by the 15th day of the month, and that is stretching it. Therefore, it's time to rethink the calendar, maybe. What if we rethought about the calendar that we should all adopt? And that's where Baha'u'llah comes in the bag. They came up with a calendar that is not 30 days long. Rather, it's 19 days long. If even Baha'i employers and Baha'i employees, if they adopted this calendar, we would resolve half of the problems that we have right now economically. Because 19 days, if you paid someone after every 19 days, it means by the 15th day, they still have something that they can utilize for the next 19 days, or rather for the next 4 or 5 days. So if we adopted this calendar as humanity, as a human race, we could possibly solve some of the problems that we are having. The money that we have is not enough for 30 days, but it's enough for 15 days. So that means that if we wanted humanity to actually improve their lifestyle and to improve the quality of their life. It may be time we are overdue, long overdue for a calendar change. We need to probably get a calendar that suits the times in which we live. And Baha'u'llah has provided a model. And in these 19 days, you have holidays fitted into it. And at the end of that 19-day cycle, the people in a locality meet to celebrate the end of that month. And this month is the days of the week are not based on some physical things. They are based on the holy names of God. Basically, this calendar is probably one of the most spiritual calendars I have ever seen, because it celebrates the names of God: mighty, glory, the mercy, the light, and honor of God. Therefore, if we lived on this calendar, probably we will sort our economic issues. We could possibly, number two, sort some of our spiritual issues, because the Gregorian calendar has made us only celebrate God once a week. And we're not even celebrating God, because in most cases we are celebrating other things. That's when people spend more time in pubs, because after all, the day is called Sun Day, the worship of the sun, rather than the worship of the glory and honor of God. We are celebrating in very many weird ways, and therefore also adding to the problems that we have, because when you're spending so much money in such avenues, then you have very little remaining for the family. Is it time to change the calendar? Let me know in the comments. Would it help? Maybe you can share some of your opinions, and maybe I'm sharing this as a possible replacement of the Gregorian calendar, because it only makes sense. 19 days, you still have a little bit of salary remaining to take care of our social issues and our economic issues. But the fact that employers are not willing to even negotiate or even change the work days, only in some parts of the Scandinavian countries have they really thought about, even the nature of work. Work has been done the same way since the 1900s. We're in the 21st century. Isn't it time to really rethink days of the week and how to structure the days of work, so that people get work-life balance, but more than that, to be able to survive to the next paycheck? We probably need a change in the calendar. What do you think? So this is how my proposition looks like this, and I'll include it. I have included it in this video, so that you look at how the days will probably look like. This is a proposition for January. I'm not thinking so far. I'm thinking as close as next year. Could probably change the calendar.